Let's open our Bible to Genesis chapter 12, verse 2 and 3. Genesis chapter 12, verse 2 and 3. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. 3. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. This is God's words to Abraham. And many of us, I know, desire the many blessings of Abraham. We say it in words and we sing it in song. Abraham's blessings are mine. Yeah, but this morning, we just want to look at some of the virtues in the life of this man, Abraham, so that we can position ourselves for God's blessings. That if we want God's blessings, we have to make sure that we align with these words of God, so that the blessings of God can be ours. Because the blessings that God has given to Abraham, they are conditional blessings. It's when you do this, you have this. They are not automatic. So if we desire the blessings of Abraham, we want to say, what are those special things in the life of Abraham that if we pattern, that the blessings of God shall be ours? So this morning we shall be speaking about lessons from Abraham. And may these lessons stay well with us and bless us. Each time we come to the presence of God is for a blessing. We don't just come as a result saying that, okay, today is Sunday, we are going to church. No, we come to church because we want to be blessed. And actually, we should be asking God on a daily basis when we come, God, what do you have for me today? There's no time that we be filled up that we don't need God. So this morning, may the Lord fill us. Let's look at the number one thing we're going to consider in the life of this man. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord has said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. So Abraham, verse 4, departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. The first thing we want to consider in the life of man is obedience. Obedience. And that was what was counted to him as the father of faith. Obedience. When you talk about obedience, you talk about Abraham. And if we want to please God, if we want to receive anything from God, we must obey God. But maybe we don't know the gravity of the obedience of Abraham. He didn't know where he was going. A land that I will show thee. I remember a few years ago, I was going with the late African overseer, Paul, to Cameroon. He called me, Tony, where we are going, Bagam is a very cold place in December. This is the type of clothes you have to put on. This is what you have to do. Now when we want to travel, you search you place the Google search and see what kind of food is there, what's the weather like. But Abraham didn't know where he was going, so nothing to check. He said, where I will show thee. So we don't know how much of preparation he will do, but he obeyed. When he said, and Abraham departed, he didn't question, he didn't ask question. May the Lord help us. When God tells us, go this way, do this, God will help us to do it. And the next thing we're going to consider in the life of this man is in Genesis chapter 13, verse 5, which was our lesson. But when we're talking, we have series of lessons we were having in the past weeks. Here we talked about the the Lord's separation from Abraham. Let's read a few verses there, verse 5 of chapter 13. And Lot also, which went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abraham cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwell there in that land. And Abraham said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsmen and the herdsmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Let's see this thing. Abraham, peaceful living and humility. You cannot be peaceful without humility. It's the humility that drives the peaceful living with brothers, with sisters, at home. If the spirit of humility is not in us, we can't get there. But Abraham was completely a humble person. There was a strife between the herdsmen. The next thing he did was to speak to Lot. He was the one who initiated it. He was not waiting for Lot to come and meet him. Abraham was Lot's uncle. And you can know the difference in age between them. When Lot was departing from that place, Lot was one of the properties of Abraham, because he went with him. Said Lot also went with him. He had nothing. So what he had, even as at that time, was made by Abraham. And you can see how this man would decide down that, Lord, no, there should not be strife between us, we be brethren. But what happened to us? We that are Christians, saved, sanctified, baptized for many years, what would be our reaction? We will be waiting. Did Lord not hear that there was strife between the herdsmen, that he has not come to me? I'll wait here until he comes here. He will meet me here. The way we will react as an elder uncle to Lot, we will want. But Abraham dropped all things and keep himself humble. He invited Lot. We should not strive. But for us, we said, no, I will show him. I will show him. I've heard some people say, no, I will deal with him. I will drop salvation here. I will come back and pick my salvation. Once you drop it, it's gone. But you can't drop it and just pick it up. So that is what we are learning in the life of this man, Abraham. Humility. If we want God's blessing, what is this? The spirit. What is this humility? The quotient of humility in our life. But Abraham did that. And when he gave Lot, choose. If you go to right, I go to left, you go to left. That's not usual. He goes, okay, Lord, since that I see this, okay, take your cattle, move far away to that end, so that there won't be strife. But he didn't do that. He gave the first, choose anywhere you go. We can see the spirit of humility in the life of this man. And of course, we all knew that Lot was selfish. And I said, no, Daddy, no, you. But he looked at that end and said, yeah, okay, that place is water. Okay, I will go to that end. He went. And Abraham didn't argue. He said, go. I was just looking. If I were Abraham, as he was moving, I will just push his chest back. I just gave you simple tests and you failed. That's how many of us will react, that you just failed this simple test. But he didn't. He allowed him to go. And Abraham didn't have anything against him. We knew that from the incidents that happened. And let us know that there is reward for any good thing we do. And the reward came. Let's see what happened in verse 14. Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Abraham, after that Lot was separated for him, lift up now thy eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. Even where Lot chose was given to Abraham. You see, what was he wrestling for? He allowed it go, and God said, don't worry, all these places is yours. That's it. And what is God telling us in Matthew 5, chapter 5, verse 5, chapter 5, verse 5? Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Abraham was meek. That humility was rewarded. He said, all these things around you, everywhere is given to you. And Paul also commands in Hebrews 12:14 when he says, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Abraham lived in the Old Testament, but he was acting on the instruction given in the New Testament. So that means he was doing all this even before most of those things were written. That was a man of God, humility. What happened? Abraham did not revenge. He loved Lot. Because in Genesis chapter 14, we quickly see what has happened, where where Lot went. In verse 11, chapter 14, verse 11. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their victuals, and went their way. And they took Lot, Abraham's brother's sons, who dwelt in Sodom, and his good, and departed. This was the place he just chose. Not too far away, they came. There were three kings who battled with the king of Sodom. They took everything, both Lot and all his property and the cattle that they were struggling with. Everything was taken away. And news came to Abraham that your brother was taken. I narrowly escaped that. That was, you see, Abraham will have said, is that what happened? Okay, you now know that he has a brother. He will stay there long. Let's look at our life. Let's look at our reaction. That is why we are coming to learn from Abraham. Those things that made him to have those blessings. That's what we are looking at. He said it immediately. Abraham took we had to go to rescue. And he went on the rescue mission, rescued Lot and all the property, and brought them back. That was the man of God. Love was one of the attributes of Christian. He love without guide. He didn't say. I know some people will say, well, I knew it was not, I knew it was going to be like that. How many times we see our brothers in problem? We see our sister in one challenge. Well, I knew the way I see her, I knew it was not going to last. A Christian brother, a Christian sister, when your brother is in trouble, that you should come and say, okay, how do we rescue him? That's the first thing. How do we rescue him? Abraham rescued Lot. And we can see that the reward came. As he was descending, he met a man called Melchizedek. And Melchizedek blessed Abraham. Each good deed that Abraham had, you will see a reward following after. And God, in Genesis chapter 15, verse 1, and after these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not, Abraham, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. That was after he has left the Melchizedek. If we go to verse 5, and he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now towards heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. When Abraham was even talking that, but I don't have my son will be like stars, at the place will be like sands of this, but I don't have any. Is this Eliezer who was working with me that will be? He said, no, and he said unto him, I am the Lord. I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. He reaffirmed. God was reaffirming things to him to show that his blessing availeth. Now we move the lesson number 4, hospitality. We read it this morning, how Abraham entertained angels without knowing. Just so strangers said, okay, this stranger needs help. Now bringing them in, that, okay, come over so that you can rest in this place. Come to my house. He brought food and he fed them. That was Abraham. And the Bible recorded that there are some people entertaining angels unknowingly. And he entertained. And after that deed of love, hospitality that he did to them, he was rewarded. 2 rewards came to Sarah in chapter 18, verse 9 and 10. It says, And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah had it in the tent door, which was behind him. So that was after those deeds. And again, God said, Abraham has been too good. How can I? They were going to destroy Sodom. How will I do this without mentioning it? That was how God has rated this man. He said, I cannot do this without telling him. He said in verse 17, there, we saw it in our lesson of today. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do, saying that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? He told him, we are going to destroy Sodom. Abraham knew that I have somebody there, Lot, and he started taking us to the next lesson, intercessory prayer, intercession. How many times do we lose hope on people? Instead of praying, we give up on them. No, Abraham didn't give up on anybody. He said, Lot is there. It's my flesh. It's my blood. He has to be delivered. He started pleading, will you destroy the righteous people with a sinner? They said, no, we won't do that. Abraham started from 50 and he stopped at 10. Maybe he thought, oh, I'm sure there will be 10. Certainly, 10 Abraham was there. His daughters, the in-laws everywhere, they are, at least they make an army. Maybe that was where he thought they are there. And of course, they are not. They are not up to. May the Lord help us. Sometimes people look at us. How many times people look at us? They are there. This person is a Christian. I know him. How many times do we fail? What the expectation of people about us that will live below the expectation? That's the men of God will say, oh yeah, we have them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, they are there. But God says that no more than 1 out of 10 is there. Can we just position ourselves this morning? I'm looking at the lessons in the life of Abraham, so that when it is our turn, we will be counted as real Christians. May the Lord help us. It is the grace of God, and we have to plead for the grace of God. That is why this morning we are not looking of past glory. We want to come to the presence of God to ask God for his blessings. Abraham did that, and his prayer availed for Lot. It was the prayer that led Lot. It was his prayer. Now, in Genesis chapter 19, verse 29, we can see it right there. And it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. So it was the God of Abraham that led to the rescue of Lot. Now we have patient waiting. That's where we got to. The Lord that promised, the promise of the Lord finally came. Abraham has been waiting. God has told him, I will give you a son. In chapter 21, verse 1 and 1, and the Lord visited Sarah, and he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken, as he said, and he had spoken. And for Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son. Have you seen it? God's blessing, God's promise will never fail. If God has told you anything, be sure it will come. And that is where we need faith. Thank God we call ourselves apostolic faith. For many of us, we don't live up to faith. We only live on the realms of believing. Believing is different from faith. Faith is a continuous believing. I believed yesterday when he said it. Today he has not done it, I still believe. Tomorrow comes, he has not done it, I believe he will do it. That is faith, that God has said it and he will do it. And that was what Abraham did. And he came and it happened. He had a baby. Patient waiting. How patiently do we wait for the promises of God? When it has not gone, we start grumbling. How did I lose my work? How God was there and he couldn't save my work. God was there. He couldn't save my brother when he was struggling for life. He passed on. God could not save my wife when he passed on. God could not save my husband when he passed on. And I've given all my life for God. How much do we wait patiently to know what God? How many times do we ask God, this has happened to me, God, what lesson do you want me to learn from here? God always has a lesson for anything that happens to a Christian. God wants you to take the lesson out. And the final thing we are considering here came, the perfect sacrifice of Abraham. In Genesis chapter 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these days that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, behold, here I am. And he said, take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. The baby that came, and they have waited for 25 years, now we say, take this child. He mentioned his name, so don't mix it up. Isaac, whom thou lovest, take him and sacrifice. It's a great faith. And it is the spirit of discernment. Abraham knew the voice of God. He was not mistaken. May the Lord give us the spirit of discernment. Many of us will say, God said it, God told me. Are you really sure? If the Lord has given us the spirit of discernment to know when God is speaking, we won't miss it. Abraham knew when God was speaking, and it took it. We didn't know whether he mentioned it to Sarah about going to sacrifice the son of her old age. We didn't have the record, but I'm sure Abraham dare not go to Sarah and say, Sarah, this is what God is telling us to. He knew what God says. He didn't need any interpretation. It took. And what baffled me in the life of Abraham, he said, in the mommy, he didn't hesitate. Like one of our elders who has passed on says, a delayed obedience is disobedience. When God said, do this, and you are waiting, it's disobedience already. When he said, do it, go and do it. I remember on this same pulpit many years ago when Choyika was talking about some people. He called them that in Yoruba, called them Afibiboro. He said they don't do this until something has happened to them. When they say, go and do this, he said, Ojo, take this thing to that place. He will look at you. And the second time, Ojo, take this thing to that place. He won't answer. Until he get one slap. And I said, take this thing to that place. He now stand up. We shouldn't wait until God is beating us to do it. When he says it, we should rise and do it. That is what Abraham did. He went and God created him. So God provided for the sacrifice, but God counted it to him that he has done it. And that is why Abraham's sacrifice was accepted unto God. This morning, we are here to receive Abraham's blessings. But if we are going to receive Abraham's blessing, if we consider and look down at ourselves and ask ourselves, where is the Abrahamic obedience in my life? Where is the Abrahamic humility? Where is the Abrahamic peaceful living? Where is the Abrahamic love? Where is the Abrahamic hospitality? Where is the Abrahamic intercession? Where is Abrahamic patience? Where is Abrahamic sacrifice? If we want God's blessing this morning, which is already here on the altar, God is inviting us to look down into our heart and search the lessons in the life of Abraham, and anyone that we are falling short, that we can come to the altar and tell God, God, I am failing here. Please help me out. I need God's blessings. We all need God's blessings. Abraham's blessings are mine, and Abraham's blessings will be yours in this morning. Come to the altar and pray.